YouTube. Welcome back for the next update. It is January, oh God, what is today? 12th, right? So it is Saturday, January 12th. Look at that. And the motor is back in. I tried to clean it up a little bit. I didn't want to get too crazy with it, but it is mounted. All 8 motor mount bolts. Sweet little sprocket action. Ran the phase leads back up to the controller. Pinned them down like they're supposed to be. Got 3 marks, 2 marks, 1 mark, 3, 2, 1 contacts. Okay. So the motor mount bolts were kind of interesting. I put this one in first because it's got the bevel on it to try and align the motor, and then I started putting in the jack nuts, which were kind of frustrating because I tried to make sure that they didn't move when I took them out, but that was kind of a wasted effort. So what I did is I guess tightened them down a little bit. What I mean by that is the gap. I decreased the gap so they could slide in better. So I made them easier to install that way, and then I ran the 4 bolts on this side into the jack nuts, but I did not screw them into the motor primarily. Then went back to this side and I did these 3 motor mount bolts, got those threaded in and aligned, which was a little bit tricky, I'm not gonna lie. It took a little bit of time to do that by myself. I had the jack supporting the motor, and I had to kind of wiggle it around and such. It's kind of interesting, but the phase leads, originally they kind of wanted to bind up here when I was running the motor mount bolts back into the motor. So if you happen to put your motor back in, be careful and make sure that these are not binding up on this tube. And then after I had those 4 on this side threaded, came back to this side, threaded them in. But before the motor mount bolts contacted the motor mounts, that's when I played with the jack nuts again and made the gap appropriate so that it would not pull in the motor mount itself. Yeah, and then I torqued them down, kind of do a crisscross pattern, I suppose. I didn't read that in the manual or anything. It's just kind of my basic protocol. Anytime I'm torquing anything down, I go a cross pattern. And let's just take a quick second because somebody had commented, Brandon had commented that the jack nuts also allow a larger motor. So this is not by any means a scientific, astronomical accurate measurement here, but just for funsies, if we want to talk about it, it's roughly 6.5 inches for motor mount to motor mount. Maybe 7/16 if you want to get super technical. I don't know. Like I said, it's just for fun. I'm not trying to pretend that I'm an engineer or anything. Just for those who might be curious. And then from center line to center line on the motor mount bolts, looks kind of close to maybe 5.5, maybe 5 3/8, something like that. Again, I'm not interested in being super scientifically accurate. Just for those who might be interested, I thought the numbers might be fun. So that's that for the motor anyway. I got the brake cylinder remounted, little ankle guard, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. I have not completely mounted the brake lever because I still need to put the swing arm in. If I remember, I'll try to measure the swing arm. Again, that'll be just for fun, not to prove any kind of scientific finds or anything. I'll tell you what though, even though this was a little bit tedious with getting the motor mount bolts in, I'm going to tell you that the rat's nest was an absolute trial. And I'm going to tell you that I am so frustrated with the rat's nest. And God, what did he say this was? the main battery board, main bike board, MBB, main bike board. I think that's what that is. The plug for that. After I unplug that to run I don't know, I forget. He told me what that was too, but the black wire that comes up and connects in here somewhere. I lost the connector. Where'd it go? It got lost. Here it is. This one. Okay, that runs down to the motor. Trying to feed this up was so frustrating that I'm going to take all of these wires, I'm going to rip them out of the bike, and I'm going to throw them away. Okay? And I know that right now you guys are like rapping at your keyboard with furious pace to tell me, but Panero, if you throw away the wires, the bike won't run. I don't care. I'm going to throw them away. I challenge you to run that wire up through here into the rat's nest and not at least feel the same. Okay? Because that's called rage. And I'll let you know, I was not happy. But finally got it all plugged in, so it's whatever. But, you know, I mean, I was kind of entertaining the fantasy of maybe moving some of this garbage in here, because I don't know if you guys are aware. For those of you who've been with me for a while, you know I don't actually run the fake tank or the storage bag. I kind of have a vinyl cover, which is going to go away. I'm going to build my own contraption thing. We're going to call that a battery cover when I'm done, because it's not a tank and there's no chargers here, so I can't call it a charger cover. But yeah, my only concern would be the fact that the Walt comes in here. So if I did grow a wild hair and move some of the electrical components over here, I would make sure it was a little more water resistant. Not that there's a whole lot of water resistance going on here, because I mean it's just a big flipping hole right here, and lots of water gets kicked up by the tire. But I don't know. Like I said, I was just really mad. Mad. Not mad enough to set everything on fire, but pretty close. So that's the wiring part of it. But I did have somebody ask me. Hang on a second. Please enjoy this hold music while I take a look, because this is important to me. Do 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 do. Anthony Helmhold. Hope I pronounced that correctly. I apologize if I didn't. He asked me, out of curiosity, if I had checked the tooth ratio on the new setup and the old setup, and I had not. So let's take a peek here. Some of you infophiles might already be aware that the rear sprocket is 130 tooth count, and the front sprocket is 28 tooth count. Okay, so 130 and 28. And the chain sprockets is 12 tooth up front, and if I counted correctly, it's 65 in the rear. So 12, 65 for the chain, and for the belt it was 28, 130. I don't know how that works out mathematically for the ratio formula. Maybe some of you out there might be math geeks, or I can find something online, but it is an interesting question, so I did entertain an answer. 12, 65, 28, 130. So hopefully the chain will give me a little bit more of a torquey response, but if not, it's okay, because you know I might play around with the rear sprocket tooth count eventually. But so I'm excited because the motor is mounted. I plan to clean up the swing arm before I put it back on the bike. I anticipate it being a little bit of a headache, because even though I've done it before, lining up the swing arm doesn't sound to be fun. Now, the first time that I removed the swing arm was for a belt replacement, and I did what just about every other Zero owner does who has to replace the belt, is I unbolted the swing arm and kind of just had a strap to the back of the bike, and we kind of just pulled the swing arm assembly rearward. How do you say that? Like towards the rear of the bike, just to clear this, to get enough space to put the belt in there. So I never actually had it totally off the bike. But now the advantage is when I'm putting it back, I won't have the rear tire on and all that kind of extra weight. I won't even have the shock. So that might be an advantage. I might be able to line it up easier without all the shock and caliper and all that stuff hanging on the swing arm. But If it proves to be difficult, then maybe I'll put the shock back on and use that to hang the swing arm so I can align it a little easier. I don't know. We'll figure it out when we get there, but I definitely want to clean it up first. So yeah, a little bit of a lengthy update, but hopefully you guys appreciate the knowledge. And thank you for watching, and tune in for the next one, guys. Take it easy. Peace out.